Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. How are you doing today? I have 4 stories for you today. Let's go to the first one, about OP's therapist, who called OP's dad and told all his secrets he shared with her during the session. How crazy is that? Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I really need help with this situation I'm in. I've been seeing a therapist for almost 6 months due to depression and anxiety. We mostly talk about my family, because my parents have been divorced since I was little, and my father has been remarried several times. All of his wives have been to me in some way. Current stepmother has invited me shopping, then called me fat whenever I showed her anything I tried on. Has counted my calories when I put food on a plate, told me I need plastic surgery, and more. She's fake as hell and only does these things when my dad is not around. I've never bothered to tell him because I don't even spend that much time with them, so I figure he doesn't care what I think of her. I have shared all of this with therapists. So yesterday I got a call from my dad saying a therapist I am seeing and gave her name, called him and talked to him about my feelings about stepmother. She also told him some details about my depression and that she's worried I have no friends or support system. I'll be clear here when I say I've never said anything that would make it seem like I put myself in danger to her. She has absolutely no reason or right to worry or say these things. He said she and him are really hurt by the accusations and that they want to meet with me to talk about my feelings. I panicked and told him I had no clue what he was talking about. I have no clue how or why she decided to contact my father, but we have the same last name and it's uncommon, so it's easy to look him up and find his profession, company's website, with all his contact info. I am absolutely livid and just really humiliated that this happened. What next? Edit. I emailed her through my health insurance's website. I wrote, "Hi, insert name. I just talked to my dad who said you called him and told him details from our sessions. I'm really upset about this, and I want to know why did you do this?" And she wrote back, "Dear insert name, I'm so sorry you are upset about this. I completely understand your feelings. Let's talk more about this at our next session on Wednesday afternoon." This is what she wrote back to me. "I am really sorry that you're feeling upset and stressed by this. I told your father because I thought it was important that he know so that he could try to understand your pain. I thought he would keep it to himself and use the information to try to be more understanding to the difficulties in your life. I'm truly apologetic and hope we can talk more in our next session. It is absolutely deplorable and unacceptable. Confidentiality is a tenet of this profession, and this therapist violated it. A therapist cannot violate confidentiality unless the person is at risk of imminent harm to themselves or others, or if there is a child A happening. OP needs to report her to the health department of his state. Every state has a licensing department that keeps documentation of complaints. Also, OP can contact an attorney. This therapist should lose their license, and every state can have different consequences for different fields, i.e., doctors, nurses, chiropractors, etc. My deployment schedule has been ducked up for a while. I had an 8-month-long deployment and then was home for a month. But during that month, my wife was gone, as she had planned an overseas family reunion and vacation that was scheduled prior to me being deployed. Then, I was deployed another 6 months, home for a week, where my wife was also away this time on a work trip. Deployed again for the last time for 4 months and came home a week ago. My wife made a big deal out of seeing me and had a curtain taped up, flowers everywhere, and was waiting for me on the bed wearing lingerie. I thought it was so sweet because our schedule just hadn't worked out where we could see each other, and she was making a huge effort to make my final homecoming romantic and special. She had sent our 2 kids to my parents' house, and we were going to have another big family reunion the next day. But I opened the curtain to see my beautiful wife again for the first time, and I didn't recognize the person I saw. Literally, I was shocked. Her body was totally different, and not in a worked out and lost weight way. Her face was not recognizable down to her teeth. Her skin was a different color, different clothes, hair, totally different. I actually started crying. It was so upsetting to me. She is not the person I married and thought was so beautiful. She got mad and thought I would be surprised and happy to see that she had transformed herself and turned into a baddie. Those were her words. She acted like it was no big deal, and she just got her old pre-mom body back. Her body was even more beautiful to me after we had kids, and she looks nothing like she did pre-babies. After my shock had subsided, we sat down and she went over everything she had done. I'll try and list them out. Face, brow and facelift, and she dyes and shapes her eyebrows now. She had work done on her neck to tighten the skin, chin and cheek implants, and a nose job. She gets fake eyelashes glued to her real ones every 4 weeks. Lip filler to the point that if it wasn't so devastating, it would be funny. Crowns on every tooth. This is upsetting because there is no going back on this. She's completely destroyed her real teeth. She dyed her hair blonde and has a weave now. Body breast implants and lift. Tummy tuck. She had her toes surgically shortened. Butt implant. BBL lipo on her stomach, back, arms, and legs. She doesn't look like a real person anymore. She looks like a computer-generated Kardashian crony. I am just so upset. That isn't my wife. I can't even look at her. It actually grosses me out. She thought I would be happy about this. I knew she was getting some Botox injections, and she explained it at the time that it was more for wrinkle prevention. When we FaceTimed, she looked the exact same, so I didn't really have an issue, though I think Botox is stupid, and I didn't totally like the idea. And I knew that she was getting a breast lift, because she didn't like how breastfeeding changed them. I wasn't totally on board with this, but I was supportive. She took this and ran with it, and changed basically every aspect of her body. She is pissed that I didn't have a positive reaction, but the truth is, I think she is ugly and disgusting to look at. I feel like my wife has died, and someone came in and is saying, "She's gone, get used to it." Her personality has even changed a little. The worst part is our children having to see their mom change herself to think it makes her more attractive. I would die if my daughter grew up and mutilated her body like this. Any advice or something would be great. I'm just happy to be able to write this out. Some of my friends actually think I'm lucky. It's like the ducking Twilight Zone. Oh my God, I would be devastated too. That is a drastic change, and it's crazy that she didn't mention a lot of these surgeries, as they are dangerous. The hair and fake tan can easily change, injectors dissolve. The rest is, well, done. But I would suggest sitting down and having an honest conversation, and possibly marriage counseling, so they can get past this, and she probably needs therapy for herself as well. I have an almost 2-year-old with this guy. When I found out I was pregnant, he begged me to get rid of the baby, and I said no. He told me he didn't want to be a part of the baby's life, so I said okay. That didn't stop him from texting me disgusting things all throughout my pregnancy, even though I hadn't spoken to him at all. He was upset I wasn't upset, that I didn't care if he was in the baby's life. He called me and told me multiple times that he was going to have his female relatives A me while pregnant, and even had his cousin send me a picture of her outside of my OBGYN's office from a burner Snapchat page while I was inside having an appointment. I ended up having to be escorted by security to my car. I filed police reports, but nothing. Once, when I asked the number for one of the reports I filed, they had none even on file. The police did not take any threats seriously and brushed me off. When I gave birth, she had a cleft lip, and his family went on social media saying that my daughter is ugly and that there's no way it can be his kid. Even he insulted his own daughter and said that I must have done D during my pregnancy and that babies that aren't wanted come out ugly. She got it fixed when she was 3 months, and then again went to social media slandering me, saying that I got plastic surgery on my daughter because she's ugly. Just horrible things. They ended up tainting my image, that I moved out of my small town to the closest metro as soon as I could. I've been doing so well away from home that even my parents bought a house to be closer to me and their granddaughter, and moved all my siblings over here. I graduated college and got an amazing job offer, and my life was finally going well last fall, when all of a sudden, my daughter's father started texting me. I'm not even sure how he got my number. He said that he wants to see her and that he has the right to. His fiancée and him got fertility testing since they couldn't conceive, and he has an abnormally low S count. And the doctor told him his chances of having a baby are slim to none, basically. Apparently, his very religious fiancée changed his life, and he gave himself over to God and isn't immature anymore. He wants to see his daughter and have her come down to spend time with him. As soon as I got the texts, I contacted a lawyer immediately. I still have all the text and social media posts of him threatening and insulting my daughter. The lawyer assured me that if this goes to court, there's no way he could get any custody or visitation. He also has a criminal record, so there's that. And he's also not on the birth certificate. Him and his fiancée messaged me almost daily on burner accounts, trying to tell me that my daughter will hate me for not letting him into her life, and that he deserves a second chance. They sent me proof of him volunteering at shelters and running a food drive, that he's now changed, and that he's not who he was 2 years ago, and that he got a large inheritance recently, and they want to give me some money for my daughter, and put some in a fund for her. I told them that we don't need their money and he will never be her father. He asked if he could at least have a supervised visit with her inside my parents' home, with my whole family there, and just him, to ease my nerves. And again, I said no, they will never meet. The city I live in now is very big, and he doesn't know exactly where I live, and I'm not in any contact with anyone from my hometown, so there's no way he could find me. Some people are telling me that I have to let go of the past if he's genuine in wanting a relationship with his daughter, and that I'm letting my pain overpower my love for my daughter's happiness. I just don't understand why he can threaten me physically all throughout my pregnancy, causing me stress and anxiety, and then went online slandering me and my daughter for her cleft lip, calling me an addict and my daughter an abomination. And I'm just supposed to move on from that and trust him around her? How? Funny how this supposed reformed character still hasn't apologized. Funny how this supposed reformed character still thinks harassment of his child's mother is acceptable. Funny how this reformed character only remembers he has a kid after he can't have another. Funny how this reformed, suddenly wealthy character is only willing to give financial support on condition he gets what he wants. If this guy gave a damn about this kid, he would provide support regardless of if he saw her or not, on account of wanting his daughter to have a good life. But no, he uses everything for manipulation. Personally, I would send a screenshot of his old messages every time he contacted OP, just to annoy him and rub his nose in his own toxic character. And as for his saintly new wife, I would put together every screenshot of his A for her and ask if he really told her why OP doesn't want her child around him, and how she is perfectly suited for him considering she also thinks harassment is okay. I had horses my entire childhood and teen years. When I graduated high school, my parents split and neither were able to help me pay for the board of my horses. And being a college student on a server's income, I couldn't either, so I sold my horses. My brother-in-law has been dating his girlfriend for 2 years, but we were only made aware of her about 8 months ago. She seemed really nice at first, but she's actually a control freak who is extremely insecure and jealous. She will not let my brother-in-law talk on the phone unless it's on speaker. 99% of the time, she is texting for him, and is very easy to get upset if things don't go her way. So, a few months ago, my future sister-in-law mentioned that she is getting another horse and cannot afford the board on her other horse. My husband had been looking to buy me a horse for several months prior, but was having trouble finding one. So, my sister-in-law told him, OP can have her horse, but just make sure that if she ever wants to get rid of him, she lets me know first and I'll take him back. She said it was because she's very worried about selling to someone she doesn't know, and this way she would know who has him. So, the day comes and I'm surprised with him. My sister-in-law lives 45 minutes away, so we moved him to a boarding pasture 7 minutes down the road from us. She helped us move him down and get him settled. The next day, called me and said she had a contract for me to sign. It just says that you'll take care of him and that if you sell him, I get him back. The contract actually said that everything, from brand of feed to his farrier, had to be approved by her, or she had the right to take him back. I was so ready to have a horse that I just signed whatever I needed to sign and just considered it a formality. Fast forward a couple months. She's driving me insane. She goes by the border multiple times a week and sends me pictures of every little scratch. I go over there every other day to ride and check on him. Even while she was on vacation, she sends her sister over there to send her videos and pictures of him so she can check on him. There is also a man whom I pay to board them, who feeds them and keeps an eye on him. She goes by yesterday, sends me a text asking when the farrier is coming, and says, I notice he has a small scratch on his hind leg you've been treating. How bad was it? I noticed it on Friday, but I didn't tell her, because I don't feel like I need to update her daily on every little scratch. My husband asked me what was up, and I mentioned about how frustrating it is being nagged to death. He told me later he called his brother just to mention it, without my knowledge, and his brother said, well, it's not OP's horse. Sister-in-law is just letting her ride it, and that's what you guys get out of the deal. Am I the a-hole because I want her to back off? I feel like I'm just paying for the upkeep on her horse, and I'm just pretty much babysitting it for her in exchange for riding it some. OP needs to return the horse and get her own horse, or lease from someone else. Horse people aren't always the most relaxed bunch when it comes to handing over the reins with their horse. Leasing is probably not going to be the right option for OP if OP is scared, frustrated, and tired of this sort of nonsense, because it is always a pretty big risk and is fairly common. And with this woman, even if she'd sold OP the horse for real, if this is the kind of person she is, I get the feeling this would probably still be happening.